Okay, it's Kiln I've been servicing. As I mentioned in a previous video, I've already replaced the controller. It's a PID digital temperature controller. A whole lot of different ramp times and hold times and all sorts of different ways you can program it for firing different ways. I don't know a whole lot about pottery, just the basics. I've replaced elements in things before, HVAC stuff, environmental chambers and the like, appliances. I've never replaced elements in a kiln. I did talk to a technician from the factory that manufactures this brand. It's Even Heat. And very good idea to do that if you have to replace these elements. That guy clued me in on some things probably would not have occurred to me, and I'd have been scratching my head and going, huh? So he gave me some hints, clues, things what to do. I have removed 3 elements so far. Each element is 2 slots. Each element winds around twice. I removed the top one. I put the new one in here, and these 2 are empty, or these 2 are 1 element, these 2 are 1. The thing's got a total of 6 separate elements in it, heating elements. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, I have some ideas, but for some reason the top element and the bottom element are different than all the rest. They're the same to each other. The top and the bottom are the same element. All the elements that go in the middle are different. And really they're also wired differently, as sort of a series parallel arrangement. It appears that the top and the bottom elements get much hotter than these middle ones do. To look at them, really the only difference in appearance is that the coils in these middle elements are more loosely wound. The spaces between the turns is bigger. And it also appears to me, I've not measured it, but appears just by looking at it that this is actually a heavier gauge wire. I'm sure it has to do with, well, they call it even heat, it has to do with making sure that the temperatures in here are pretty much the same throughout. And in any place where it's going to lose more heat, such as the lid or the floor, that you would want more heat available. That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it. So, got the first element in. Before you do this too, they highly recommend get the old element out and vacuum out these grooves. Anything in there is a problem, and for one thing, it makes it hard to get this stuff in there. There's a whole bunch of crap in these grooves. The other thing, which I've read and this tech mentioned to me, was that if there's glaze in there, if anything's sputtered off, or even some clay, it has a deleterious effect on these elements as they heat. It actually erodes them. It's almost like putting acid on them, and it eats through them. So, very important to clean out those slots before you start stringing elements. The other thing, if you just start at one end and start pushing the element in and follow it around the grooves, and you'll end up with like a foot or more of extra element. What do you do with it? Well, what you kind of got to do is take that and scrunch it up, sort of squeeze the coils closer together, so that it fits in there right, and the ends, which I don't know if you can see, they come out right here. The 2 ends of the first element, the one I just installed. There's no way the coiled part is going to fit through the little holes that these ends, being one of the ends, go through. So I was forewarned about that. Still a little curious. It would have been maybe a little bit more convenient, I think, if they had made it so that you had to stretch the element to get it to fit rather than compress it. You know, stretching a stuff's easy. You just pull on it and stretches it out. Compressing it in these grooves with this fire brick, which the stuff is about as rigid as styrofoam, and it's very easily broken. Little chips break off. Now, this one's actually, from other ones I've seen, this is in very, very good condition in that regard. But I've never seen one that did not have little chunks and little chips missing, you know, here and there. It's not a problem as long as there's enough of a groove there to keep the element in its place in the bricks. Sometimes they will, what they call bulge, the element in places it may, you know, pop out a little bit. There are ways to take care of that. Done research. This manufacturer does not do something that I think is actually a very good idea, but they don't do it. And that is using pins. They think of nails with little hooks rather than a nail head on it. It's got a little hook. And this stuff, this fire brick is you could take a toothpick and poke it right into this stuff, just about. And what they have you do is you have these nails, and you poke them in, and the little hook on the end of it hooks around the element and just holds it in place. So that's an option. This company, even he does not do it that way. They don't even sell the pins, nails, if you like. However, there's several other manufacturers of these that do use the pins, and if we need them, and they're probably like $2 or $3 for a bag of 50, something like that. Nothing special. Same alloy as the heaters themselves, or something close to it. It takes the heat. So hey, that's where we are. I got the first one in. I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to video the whole process because it would take too long. To get this one element out took the old element, to get it out literally took probably 30 seconds. Once you get it started, you just kind of pull it out carefully. Getting the new one in took a little bit longer. I think I spent, let me look at the clock here. I'm keeping time because this is a pay job. So far, total, getting the old one out, getting the new one in, 28 minutes, half an hour, roughly. And that's the first try. Now that I've had a little bit of practice, it should probably go a little bit smoother, easier for the rest of these. Right now, this kiln's sitting up on a stand, which is absolutely necessary when in use. I can't really reach the bottom with it up on this stand, so at some point I'm going to have to lift it off of the stand. It's no big deal. But by the time I get to that bottom, I'll have quite a bit more experience in getting these things installed. So I'm not going to record this whole thing. If anything interesting happens, camera goes back on, and you might see me have a fit. Yes.